Today it's 2:30 and I will conduct the first meeting. Having called the meeting to order, I'll indicate that there is no public comment to be offered other than public comment that may be related to the various zoning cases we have today. I have no minutes to approve at this meeting, and therefore I'm ready to call. I want to call the Langford case first. That's 24081. This is a request for variation for floor area ratio. It's a Milton Township case. The petitioner has requested that his petition be withdrawn, and I will grant the request for withdrawal, and we will not further consider 24081. Then I will have the wait a minute here. You guys are Ellis.
Yep.
Okay. That's 24080. This is a request for variation to increase the height of a new shed from the permitted 15 feet to approximately 18 feet. This is a Winfield Township case. The underlying zoning is R2. It's about a 0.7 acre site serviced by well and septic. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on November 19, 2024. And this case, as always, has been circulated to various departments of the county and neighboring municipal authorities and other governmental bodies. I have received no comments of substance from any of those entities. I have three exhibits, which we'll talk about further during the hearing. The first is a 2013 survey. Second is, I guess, that same survey with a sketch of some sheds and perhaps a proposed new shed. And the third is a set of group exhibit 3 is a set of building elevations and building drawings. Those were submitted by the petitioner in advance of the hearing. May I ask any of you who wish to also say, my name is Bob Carthall, I'm the zoning hearing officer. And may I ask any of you who wish to testify in this case or make any statements whatsoever to raise your hand and be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence you're about to give at this time shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, I do.
Okay, would you two identify the Ellises?
Yes.
Would you identify yourself and spell your last name?
Adam Ellis and Mackenzie Ellis, ELLIS.
And you live at this property?
Correct. We've been there since May 2nd, 2013.
And who lives at the property with you?
Us and our two children, Avid and Violet, 9-year-old twins.
Okay, I have an 11-year-old survey, so I'm gonna need an updated survey. But this survey shows, I don't know if this is drawn in later or
The shed's been there since before us.
that shed
Yes, the current
that's
shed.
shown.
Yep, and it's deteriorating, so that's why we want to replace it.
Okay. So you propose to build a new shed with, in this approximate location?
Correct. We're planning to replace or to get rid of the old shed, install concrete, so we have a concrete floor. And then found a shed that we feel very happy about. And it's a kit from Costco that they'll come and build, and it's 18 feet high.
Okay, why do you need it to be 18 feet high?
So we would like the additional storage, so we have kids and a lot of toys, and I have a motorcycle, and we have a mower that has the cyclone rake for the leaves, and we can't take that apart, so we would like the space on the bottom, but with storage on the top. And to have the storage, it requires the 18 feet high.
Will you have any utilities servicing the shed?
Yes, I plan to run electrical out there as well.
Only electrical?
Sorry, what other utilities would there be?
Well, you're not gonna have plumbing.
No, no bathroom, no water.
You realize that, well, first of all, let me ask you what your business is.
What do I
What do
do?
you do for a living?
I work for Aon. It's an insurance brokerage firm. I'm the global COO of their claims organization.
Okay, and McKinsey?
I'm currently in between jobs.
Okay. So I asked that to determine whether there's any likelihood of an oversized shed being incorporated for use in a business.
No.
If this is granted, there will be a deed, there will be an entry in the title for your property that no business use be permitted.
Yeah, there's no business out there.
So your electric will be exterior lighting.
And interior, I do woodworking for a hobby, and so I would like to do some woodworking in the shed.
Okay. Are you folks neighbors?
Behind houses,
Okay, tell us your name and spell your last name.
Barbara Zaleski, Z as in zebra, Ienneski.
Where do you live?
At 2S341 Lost Meadows Lane in Warrenville, 60555,
How close is that to this property?
right behind it.
All right, and you want to tell me something about your
Well,
position in this case?
My concern is being that it's gonna be so big, if it's gonna possibly cause any type of issue with runoff. Is there water standing, and because there is a little bit of a water standing when it rains real heavy.
Okay, the footprint, the shed is going to be 28 by 16. And that would be permitted as long as it's within the setback lines,
Okay, and what is that?
10 feet. But the height, which is the question that's before me, does not affect runoff, only the footprint, because that impacts impervious surface.
Can I make a comment on that?
Certainly.
So if I don't have the height, I'm gonna have to have larger footprint. So I can go up to 1,000 square feet, I believe, by code. So if I can't get this height, I'm gonna have to make a bigger shed, which will, the drainage issue.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So he's going up instead of
Out.
out.
Because there is at one point. The electrical company. Redid some work on the box that's back there on my property on the other side. And they dug holes and there's something underneath. And that is starting to cave in. I know, and I think it's due to the water, there's sometimes runoffs into the yard there.
In the utility easement?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe you should call the electric company and get them back there. Good
Because
luck.
I have called them once before when they dug the holes, because the slab for the big box was even, and now it's tilted. But they didn't do anything about it.
But also to be clear, that's on the other side of the property,
Right.
not where the shed is
Yeah,
gonna go.
Right.
yeah, I understood that from her. Do you have any comments that you want to make?
Yes, Marilyn Fox,
FOX?
FOX 29 West 108, Oak Lane, Warrenville. 60555. I'm 88, so I read things I write.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, well, first of all, my husband and I bought this property right after it was subdivided by Mag. It was original land grant by James Polk in beautiful woods, all big oak trees. And that's why we fell in love with the property. And pheasant running through and the turkeys, everything. Well, anyhow, we did have to sign all the original owners there. There would be no fences, no additional buildings. Signed that, when we built. And we were under that impression. So, I had one big oak tree cut consideration of the neighbors, so the limb wouldn't fall on either of their properties, cause damage. It's just huge. I had arborists from Arboretum look at it. And anyhow, I fear for that and other trees along the lot line. Some that we have left, and we've lost quite a few oaks in the area. And that damage to the roots, if we lose those, because they're close to the lot line. That we might lose them, and also if excessive trimming of pine would. The high buildings especially would affect that.
Are there trees in this section of the lot that you're?
All down that
specifically
lot line.
referring to? Which lot line? The rear lot line?
They're along the west side.
I can show you, sir. Yeah, so there's a couple.
That's where the
pine-
trees are?
There's a couple
Right
pine
here?
trees right here.
Oh,
Well, there's a couple pine trees right here. She has an oak right here. We do have an oak right here. We may have to take down because otherwise you'll never be able to get to it if I build a shed there. But the pine trees are right on the lot line and they come over to our yard. And Maryland has offered for us to trim those in the past because they were in our yard.
Right,
and
well, I'll
a
take that into
huge oak in the
consideration.
corner, of course, and then the one along the lot, so that's two oaks.
Yeah, I don't know if there are covenants of record in the deeds, but I can't control that. So if there are deed restrictions or other covenants that restrict buildings, that's separate and apart from the zoning ordinance, but they both apply if there is.
But I think just to be clear, both neighbors have large sheds in their backyard as well, bigger than the one we currently have.
Yeah, the use is very small. However, when Mackenzie called, she said a bigger shed. And first I said, oh, okay, thinking like their shed a little bigger, which is just a very small shed. But then after looking into the matter further, I discovered it's not a shed, it's a barn, and it's a big barn. Which they're even adding height.
Well, again, it's through Costco sheds and code allows us 1,000 square feet.
It's a called a barn.
That is the name, but it's through Costco sheds. And
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
It's the biggest barn they
she
have.
doesn't have a
Yeah.
barn. She has a garage. in
I
the
was gonna say
backyard.
mine is garage, not
I'm
a shed.
not trying to
Yeah.
debate,
Mhm.
but I mean,
It came with the house.
Okay, well, I understand the request. Let me tell you how this matter proceeds from here. I will take this under advisement. I want to make this as inexpensive as possible, so. But I need updated, particularly the site plan. And survey, so you're gonna have to, get somebody to draw that up. And if I have that additional information, I would be ready to make a recommendation about this case on it's January 15th. January 15th. And then my recommendation will be made to the County Development Committee that will meet to consider the record in this case on January 21. So, given the time of year, I don't think there's a little bit of delay occasioned by the holidays, et cetera, the need for a survey. So I hope that doesn't affect your schedule should this proceed
we
favorably.
were hoping to build in the spring, so. it's
Yeah,
fine.
so we'll be okay.
Excuse me, I hadn't
Yeah.
quite finished.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had finished.
There's counting in between. Yeah, I also am very concerned about water. There's a large parcel of ground now that's cement that won't be absorbing water. And we already have more than we used to due to other structures and things going on, whatever, adding dirt or whatever. And my lot used to be dry. It gets wet, it stays, we have little lakes in the backyard that don't go down too fast. And concerned for that and our septic lines. And I wanted to ask too, if this is under consideration of being built, if it might be considered that it goes on the proper side of the lot.
We're,
From your garage.
we can't have our septic field. We would
Well-
prefer it to be there.
I know, you can put more septic lines in.
We had already.
We've already expanded our septic field. But we would prefer it over there, but we,
Yeah.
That's really the only logical place for it. Just say,
Well, that could be looked into.
Can I suggest gutters on your property too would help with drainage?
What?
Gutters help with drainage, so if there's not gutters on their property,
I have gutters on
not in your backyard.
it. Yeah, not in the back.
Not where the drainage is that you're concerned about.
No, that's not where the problem is. It's further back.
I think that with the drainage, that it's not in our property. And I don't really think that that's necessarily relevant to this
Oh, sure. it is.
property, and I don't actually think that what is from our property that's contributing to that. I don't think anything is. That's not, it's on your property lines.
As more and more goes in, you have less absorption because something else is there.
I have to cut this off. I don't ordinarily allow this, sort of back and forth dialogue, but in order to sort of, get an understanding between the neighbors, I permitted that today. Much of it is not really material to my consideration. So as I say, I'll make my decision. You'll be able to, you'll have notice of that in advance of January 15th. Perhaps a couple of days. But I will announce it at the recommendation session, which is Jan 15 at 3 o'clock. You can listen in by Zoom. You could conceivably attend, but there's no further discussion. I just go through the basic information.
I have one question. When you had mentioned 10 feet, is that from the boundary lines?
Yeah, that's from their yard.
Okay, would this building be 10 feet from
10
the
feet
boundary?
away.
Okay, so it'd be farther out then.
No, right now it's 9.5 feet.
Is it?
We've measured, yeah. And so it's probably 10 feet from the property line. So it's 9.5 feet from our fence.
And the sideline also.
I think that's 3 feet.
Yeah,
See, that's.
well, they're not asking for any variation, so it's gonna give me a new site plan, which you can have access to, which will precisely show the location. The site plan, you can show the old one and put removed. Well, the surveyor's not.
And so is there a contact or recommendation that we can work with on that? I've never done that before.
Well, you could go perhaps to the same person that did this survey. I mean, I'd make a couple calls and shop around.
Okay.
Uh,
So it's not through the county or the.
No.
You're like, okay.
no. It's like a few, have a survey for a house.
Okay.
And you can talk to our staff about how you might accomplish that. But given the fact that this is 11 years old, I'm a little hesitant to just take a markup. The old survey. All right, that's it.
Can I
Yeah.
just ask you,
Certainly.
is it code for a building at large to be close to someone's home and back?
Not near your home, Maryland.
Pardon?
It's, the code is setbacks from the side yard and the rear yard and the height. And what's before me is the height, not anything else.
That the size meets code, the building size?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I think we go.
Because it's,
Okay, that's-
So he's got to build it where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The
that's-
question is, can it be higher?
Mhm.
And again, if it's not higher, it's gonna be bigger.
And it doesn't, I'm not approving size or anything like that or location, just height. So everything else he has to conform, they have to conform to the code, right? Okay? Good, thank you very much. Call the wall. Petition that is 24082. This is a request for variation to reduce the corner side setback from permitted 30 feet to approximately 10 feet for a new greenhouse. This is a 0.44 acre site in Addison Township, serviced by water and sewer. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on November 19, 2024. It's been circulated to the county offices and neighboring authorities. I have comments from the village of Bensonville, but no formal objection has been filed. Um, Comments are available in the record to the, well, I'll read it. It says, if the
Good.
property were annexed into Bensonville at a future date, several aspects of the property would not conform with the village zoning ordinance. Property appears to meet or exceed the lot coverage requirement, 50%. Greenhouses on properties under 5 acres require a special use permit. Greenhouses are not listed as a permitted encroachment into setbacks. Pools are not listed as a permitted encroachment into setbacks. The property has a fence in the front yard and the property has a fence in the corner side yard. Pools are only allowed in the rear yard by right, while this property has a pool in the side yard and the driveway width and design is not up to code. That is comments submitted to us from the village of Bensonville. I have, two exhibits. The first is a site, I guess it's the plat of survey, which is a 2024 survey. And then I have a site plan, much of which is hand drawn. So I'll take that as number 2, exhibit number 2. May I ask, my name is Bob Carthel. May I ask each of you to identify yourselves and spell your name?
Michael Plumeri. Last name is spelled Plumeri.
Mr. Wallace,
Owen Wallace, Wallace.
okay, would you raise your right hands and be sworn in, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence you are about to give at this time shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Mr. Wallace, who's presenting your case for you?
I am presenting my case.
And Mr. Plumeri, what's your role here?
I live about 3 doors east of Mr. Wallace.
Okay. Go right ahead, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, we're requesting a variance to reduce our setback to install a greenhouse. Our home, when it was built on the back side of the property, east and most north. So it's the most northeast corner, which gave us a very large front yard and side yard. And we have a very small backyard. So we're trying to use our property to the maximum benefit of us as the residents, to put in a greenhouse for gardening.
And you have a pool?
We do have a pool, yes.
How long have you lived at this property?
We bought the property in 2007. We are the 3rd owners of this corner lot from the original owners, the Hansons. And when the house was built, it was built in the same spot as the house that was torn down.
Right, so you're on the corner of Briar and 3rd, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, Briar and 3rd. And your pool is in the side yard?
Yes.
And the proposed greenhouse will be in the side yard?
Yes. And between the fence that is set back to 10 feet and in between the fence and the pool.
Who lives at this property with you?
My wife, my 3 children, and my mother.
What's the intended use of the greenhouse?
4 seasons of growing vegetables and flowers.
For what use?
Personal use.
Yeah, it says 443 square feet is penciled in here, is that right?
No, that's just, the, that's the maximum amount of square footage that would be available. The square footage would be determined by the county if the county were to approve, and what limitations were put on us by the county.
I don't see any dimensions. I see an indication of 15 feet high. I think that says height. But I don't see dimensions for the greenhouse.
Right, there's no dimensions yet, because we didn't know if it would be approved and if there would be limitations on what the county stated they would approve. The maximum square footage that we would be able to use is at 443 square feet. So the dimensions wouldn't be, and that square footage is really, really big. We just took off the square footage from our garage and the shed we have on the property, and the remainder was that. So we understood that we couldn't exceed that square footage.
You calculated that by a total FAR? Is that what you're saying?
From the rules, it says we could have 1,000 square feet of detachable space.
Of accessory structures?
Yes,
Okay, and you already have roughly 560 is what you're saying.
correct.
Okay. What? Does this say future garage?
Yes,
And what's penciled in next to future garage? Oh, frame shed?
yes,
So this is supposed to be a legend that's drawn in the middle of the site plan?
well, I was just using the middle of the site plan just to calculate.
Right, so the future garage is 21 by 21, shown on the site plan, which that's not before me at all.
No,
And then, you have a frame shed
yes,
on the other corner. Are you expanding that shed sometime?
no,
Well, why does it say future shed? Or does that say frame shed?
frame shed,
Okay, that's existing.
yes.
All right. All right, I see your calculations. Well, what else do you have? You have anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
All right, Mr. Plameri, do you have any statements that you want to make?
First of all, I do not object to what he'd like to do. His home is built on an older plan, shall we say, the way houses were built back then. For example, my mother's house at 435 South Minor in Bensonville is very similar, where the house sits practically on her north property line, like his house does. So he's very limited with what he can do on the north side of his house, and the house is set back from Briar, so he really doesn't have a backyard. His yard is really his south yard, which no one can really see anyway from Third Avenue, because it is a beautiful fence. He spent a lot of money improving this property, and I don't think this greenhouse would impede anyone's view. His neighbors' view that are closer to him than I am would impede their view of any other sight lines up and down the block. So I I just wanted to be on the call today because I looked at the same plan you're reading to us right now, and it really doesn't affect anybody in the neighborhood whatsoever.
All right, Mr. Wallace, I'm gonna need a detailed site plan which shows the precise size of the proposed greenhouse. And it's not like, well, this is the maximum I can build, but rather what you will build.
Okay,
And I'd like you to show some landscaping on the side. You can take credits for fencing, but I need to have that landscaped if this matter proceeds favorably, and I'm not gonna judge that quite yet. But stay in touch with our staff to get that additional document done, showing that size. And then if you can provide that additional information, then we'll consider this at our recommendation meeting on January 15th. That is held at 3 o'clock. It's the same format. It's a Zoom format. All I do is announce the decision, so there's not a give and take, and there's no testimony to be taken at that point. Okay,
okay,
great. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. I'll indicate for the record that there is no old business or new business to be considered at this meeting, and so therefore I will adjourn the meeting.